Speech off.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm here to do my third reading update for July. I read 10 books and DNF'd one. So let's just get started so hopefully I can finish quickly. So the first one is Someone Else's Child by Allison Ragsdale. I gave this one 5 stars. I have one more Allison Ragsdale book in my collection to read. I've been really liking her books, but they're not what you think they are. So when you read the description for this one, this is about Katrina and I forgot what her husband's name is. But they lose a little girl at birth. And from the description, you think that they lost their only child and they adopt another one. But they don't. They actually lost a twin. And there's one surviving twin, and then they adopt April. And she kind of becomes the replacement twin to Faith, who dies at birth. Not the replacement twin, because, you know, they don't treat her that same way, but it definitely plays a part in this book. But yeah, so April does become the only child in this equation fairly quickly in the book, because shortly after the book starts, Hope dies tragically. That is not in the back of the book, so it's kind of misleading, but I don't consider that a spoiler because that really sets the stage for the whole story, in my opinion. Like, it gives it a different set of stakes, I guess. So then here comes, what's her name? April's mom, Lauren, comes back into the picture and wants to meet April, and because they have an open adoption, they don't have a choice but to have them meet. And so Lauren kind of finds them when they're all down. You know, they're all grieving. Little April is not talking because of the trauma of her sister's accident. And she starts to kind of open up to Lauren a little bit. Like she bonds with her and everything. And Lauren is kind of like, okay, you guys are screwing this kid up and I want her back. That's kind of the gist of the story. I felt really bad for this couple, but I also think that you kind of see the effects of them adopting a kid right after you lose one. Like, it's kind of like, hold on, my phone's gonna die soon. Great, perfect timing.
Speech on. 10%. Close.
Oh, good, 10%.
Stop recording video. Speech off.
Anyway, you kind of see the bad timing of adopting a kid while you're grieving another one. Like, April came into their lives 3 days or something after they lost one of the twins at birth. So, Katrina, the mom, bonds with April just fine, but the dad doesn't really bond with her very well. I don't think he had a chance to grieve, and so you kind of see their relationship is kind of strained. And one of the reasons why Katrina and her husband are kind of on the rocks even before Hope dies is because he's not really bonded with April. So, you know, he got his bio kid and he wasn't, I'm not saying he doesn't love her, but he doesn't feel the same connection, I guess. And so you kind of do see, like, the effects of that. And Lauren kind of comes in and takes advantage of it. So, yeah. All in all, I gave this one 5 stars. I really liked it. So, yeah. Then I read Someone Else's Love Story by Jocelyn Jackson. This is one of the first books in my TBR that I started when I started Goodreads. I gave this one 3 stars. This is about Shandy and William. Shandy is a single mom raising a genius 3-year-old named Natty. Nathaniel, I think is his name. And she has warring divorced parents, a Catholic mother and a Jewish father, so she's kind of having some religious issues, I guess, so to speak. And yeah, the story pretty much starts when she's moving to live near her dad and go to school, and her and Natty are in a mini mart at a gas station when a guy with a gun comes in, and William, the male lead in the story, pretty much puts himself in front of the kid, and she's instantly head over heels in love. But it's way more complicated than it seems from the description, and it doesn't go quite the way I think it's going to, hence the title, Someone Else's Love Story. William is kind of complicated, and he's also on the spectrum. So there's that. But he also has some complicated history of his own that he's going through when all of this happens. So yeah. I thought, like, it was an okay read. Like, I wasn't compelled enough to finish the book. And there were some funny quotes. I wrote one down just because it's hilarious. She only cooked for me like this when she was furious. She thought the meanest thing you could do to a woman was to give her a fudge basket. That was her mother that she's insulting, by the way. The meanest thing you could do to a woman is give her a fudge basket. I want this mother. I want this mother to be mad at me all the time because I want all the fudge baskets. Anyway, there's also kind of mentions of sexual assault. And yet it's not all that it seems. I can't really say anymore, but yeah. Anyway, 3 stars. I didn't like it too much. Next, I read The Promise of Stardust by Priscilla Sibley. I gave this one 5 stars and bawled like a baby in the process. I've had this one on my TBR for a long time. I heard about it through Sarah's Bookshelves live podcast. And then Chloe from Always Booked had it in her book haul recently and made me want to read it. So this is about Matt. I can't pronounce his last name. Beaulieu? Anyway, and Elle McClure, husband and wife. Both families knew each other since the kids were babies. He was 2 when Elle was born, and he actually called her Peep at that age. And to this day, when they're married, he calls her Peep as a form of endearment from when he was a toddler. Anyway, so they're trying to have a baby. They have infertility issues. And then Elle has a car accident. No, not a car accident. She has a fall from a ladder and she hurts her head. And she ends up brain dead. And he's about to turn off the machines. But because, she never wanted to be kept on life support. And her mother was kind of kept alive against her will. When they should have let her go during a long illness. So she was always terrified of being on machines. So she always made everybody promise that they would turn the machines off. And so, yeah. He is about to turn the machines off when they find out she's pregnant. And that's when the story starts. Matt is fighting against his mother, who was also a mother figure to Elle, throughout her mother's illness and childhood and their mother's death. So Matt's mother knows how much Elle never wanted to be on machines. So she was trying to get them to turn off the machines and, put Elle above the baby. And Matt was fighting against it. And it became this huge court battle, and it involved a lot of the pro-life people. Which was actually a really interesting part of the story, because he was definitely, they were definitely pro-choice, and he was kind of offended by, the pro-lifers being all for his case, because he didn't want to be known as someone who disapproved of abortions. But, as his lawyer pointed out, his lawyer is a pro-life man, religious and everything. Of course the pro-lifers are going to get involved, because you're essentially trying to keep a baby alive to give it a chance to live. And the other side is saying the baby's not viable and let her go so that we put the wishes of the mother first. Honestly, by acknowledging that that's a baby, you're already kind of having a pro-life stand, in a sense, even though you don't want to admit to it. So it was a really interesting angle, how they thought of it. Anyway, I'm not going to tell you the outcome, but I was pretty satisfied with the way the book went, and I bawled my eyes out, and it was 5 stars. So, great read. Then I read After the Storm by Kate Burtholder, number 7 by Linda Castillo. I gave this one 4 stars. I'm slowly going through this whole series, Amish Mysteries. This one was kind of boring. Honestly, there wasn't really any stakes that much. There was like a tornado, and they find some, well, body parts, to be blunt, and they're trying to figure out who this person was and what happened to them. But because you're not really attached to anyone because it happened so long ago, it wasn't that interesting, as bad as it sounds. So yeah, 4 stars. Then I read The Only Black Girls in Town by Brandy Colbert. I gave this one 4 stars as well. This one is about Alberta. This is middle grade. She lives in California. She's a surfer girl. She's 12 years old, and she's the only black girl in town until she gets new neighbors at the bed and breakfast, and it is a black family. And they have a 12-year-old girl named, what's her name? Edie. And so she's sure they'll be best friends, or fast, good friends. She already has a best friend named Laramie, but there are just some things that she can't relate to because she's not black. And she also has an intact, like, just your typical normal nuclear family, traditional family. And Alberta has 2 dads and a birth mom, that just, visits her, because she just provided the egg for them to have her. They're a gay couple. Anyway, so Edie and Alberta find some diaries in the attic of the bed and breakfast, and they're trying to figure out who this person is, and there's some secrets and racial tensions that they find out about the town, and it's really interesting. I gave it 4 stars. Honestly, the only thing that kept it from being 5 stars is that it's so stereotypical of California. Alberta's a vegetarian, and she's always at the beach, and it's like, okay, newsflash, people, I hate all vegetables of all kinds. I live in Los Angeles, California, and I don't live at the beach every weekend. And get this, it's not always sunny in California. It's sunny now because it's summer, but by December, it'll be 30 degrees and raining. We get thunder and lightning just like the rest of you. End of rant. Next is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. This is a reread. I read this a million times, but I am rereading them now because I am listening to the new Stephen Fry versions. Hence why this is the Philosopher's Stone, because this is the English version. We don't have to talk about this, right? Honestly, if you know Harry Potter, you do, and if you don't, you don't care. The only thing I will say is that there's some differences between Jim Dale and, what's his name? I just said his name. The other guy. I'm tired. Stephen Fry. The only differences between Jim Dale and Stephen Fry, I mean, there's some voices, but for some reason he says Malfoy, stop! It's really weird. And he doesn't sing the way Jim Dale does. But, good read. I'm actually re-listening to my favorite Harry Potter podcast, Swish and Flick. They do like book club style podcast. They go over chapter by chapter. I had kind of stopped listening to it a couple of years ago. So they were in the middle of book 6 when I stopped, and they're in the middle of book 7 now. So I thought, why not just start all over and read the books with it this time. So I'm going to slowly be going through the series. Anyway, then I read Bird in Hand by Christina Baker Klein. I give this one 1 star. I heard about this one from Gloria Z. Thompson. Sorry, Gloria. I hated this book with a passion. This is about 2 couples. Allison, Charlie, and Claire and Ben. They're like best friend, picture perfect couples. Allison and Charlie have 2 kids, and Ben and Claire have no kids. Ben wants children, Claire doesn't, and yeah. The story really starts when Allison gets into an accident and essentially kills a kid. And you think it's what it's going to be about, like where you read about the court case, the family, all of that, and it's going to be a whole thing. Believe me, we barely hear about the kid. It just uncovers a bunch of drama between the 2 couples, including the fact that Charlie and Claire are having an affair. And Allison and Ben find out about it, and it's a whole thing. It was, just, honestly, terrible people and By the end of it, I didn't like any of them. 1 star. Then I read In a Book Club Far Away by Tiff Marcello. I gave this one 3 stars. I heard about this one from Sarah's Nightstand a long time ago. So this is about 3 women, military women. Some are married to military men, and I think Regina was actually a military woman too. So it's Regina Castro, Adelaide Wilson Chang, and Sophie Walton. They were friends. They're army wives. Yeah. And they bonded when Adelaide started a book club for all the kind of people left behind while the guys were gone. Anyway, so they bond over this book club, and then they have a falling out. I'm not going to tell you why, but yeah. And at some point, Adelaide is still best friends with both of them, but with Sophie and, what's the other one's name? Regina. But Sophie and Regina don't speak to each other. And so Adelaide pretty much gives them a message saying, I'm about to have surgery. I need you both to come here and help me out. I have a kid and my husband's still on base, or I forgot where he was stationed, whatever. But she doesn't tell either one of them that the other one is coming, and that already makes me dislike her. And I go from liking her later, like feeling sorry for her, because she does end up needing both of them. It wasn't just that she was being manipulative, but I still hated that. And by the end of it, there's a twist that makes me so mad at her that I am against them forgiving her, which they do because this is, complicated. I don't know. I just didn't think she deserved to be friends with them by the end of this book, so I gave it 3 stars. I know I should be feeling the warm fuzzies by the end, but I did not, because I was mad. 2 more. The Love of My Life by Rosie Walsh. I give this one 5 stars. This one apparently was a hit and miss for some people. Some people love it and some people hated it. I heard about it from Chloe from Always Booked. I loved it. But like I said, some didn't. So this is about a couple, Emma and Leo. And they have a little girl named Ruby. But Emma is keeping lots of secrets, including her own name. Then she gets diagnosed with cancer, and Leo starts to write her obituary, and so he kind of starts to do research into her life and finds out that everything he knows about her is a lie. But I can't tell you why. I cannot say anything about this book because, whoa. It's better to go on the journey. Trust me. You don't want to know anything else. Although there is something, it's hard to say. Research trigger warnings. I don't want to say what the trigger warnings are because that would spoil the book. But if you're pregnant, don't read this. There you go. Or postpartum, don't read this now. There's no death or anything of a kid, but there's some stuff. Anyway, but yeah, it was a ride, and I loved this whole book by the end of it. You don't know what's happening. It's wild. And then I DNF'd 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. This is about a single mother who is apparently an erotica writer. She writes erotic fantasy, and she reunites with her high school sweetheart, and there's just too much swearing in this book for my liking. I know it's apparently a really great book, but it was just, every other word was an F word. And I was like, I can't. I know I bought it, but I can't. Last book, The Brilliant Life of Eudora Honeysett by Annie Lyons, Lyons, I don't know, Lyons. 5 stars. This book is amazing. There's a little bit of swearing, but go with it. You're going to love it. Eudora Honeysett is done with this noisy, moronic world. All of it. She has witnessed the indignities and suffering of old age and has lived a full life. At 85, she isn't going to leave things to chance. Her end will be on her own terms. With one call to a clinic in Switzerland, a plan is set in motion. Then she meets 10-year-old Rose Trewindy, a whirling, pint-sized rainbow of color and sparkling cheer. All Eudora wants is to be left alone to set her affairs in order. Instead, she finds herself embarking on a series of adventures with the irrepressible Rose and their affable neighbor, the recently widowed Stan Lee. Afternoon tea, shopping sprees, trips to the beach, birthday celebrations, pizza parties. While the trio of unlikely BFFs grow closer and anxiously wait the arrival of Rose's new baby sister, Eudora is reminded of her own childhood, of losing her father during World War II, and the devastating impact it had on her entire family. In reflecting on her past, Eudora realizes she must come to terms with what lies ahead. But now that her joy for life has been rekindled, how can she possibly say goodbye? This sounds like it's going to be really sad, but it isn't. Like, obviously you know kind of where the end is, right? Like, she's 85. Where else is this going to go? But, I mean, just, wow. This had me laughing the whole entire way through. Like, Rose is hilarious, and Eudora is this grumpy, snarky old lady. And listen to the audiobook because the British voice is amazing. Like, I love this book so much. It's probably going to be my top 10 of the year. Anyway, so yeah, I really wanted to end this update on a high note. That's why I speed read through this one last night. So anyway, that's all I have. I hope this phone actually survived this video. I don't even know if I'm talking to myself. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye. Ooh, it's still working. See ya.
Speech. Stop recording video.